Hello and welcome to the Berkcast, the How to Turn Dragon podcast. I'm your kinda sick host HC, and with me are
And not so sick Rush.
And definitely not sick wolf.
hmm, good to know that someone is definitely nuts. But today, maybe the maybe the reason we're sick is because we are asking a very important question. Question for the ages. Question that the fans have probably wondered since the franchise came along. And that, what if How to Turn Dragon was an adult franchise? Now, just to give some context, what do we classify as adult?
Before we get into that, I want to say you had two statements in that intro that were very true. One, we're sick people, and two, I forgot the other thing, but it was very true. Um,
Must not be very
People,
true.
I know it was.
people have been.
I was gonna make a joke out of it, but HC actually left the floor open to us. Usually, I have to interject. Anyway, um,
Well,
so
so answer me, Rush. What do you classify as adult?
yeah, exactly. What do I classify as adult? Well, I'm 22 and I still drink from a bottle. I'm just kidding. So I classify adult as something. I'm gonna go with the over 18 rating. Actually, 16 to 18 rating, but at that point it's just over 18. Because PG-13, like we wouldn't most people don't consider 13-year-olds adults anyway. So based off the title, I'm going to
Take
probably
that,
stick.
preteens.
Yeah.
Well,
Go write it in your life journal.
According to the Jewish religion, once you're 13, you are officially a man. So that's kind of that counts as adult, right?
I mean,
I'm not Jewish.
Well, your point.
there was another comment I was gonna make, but I didn't want to make it. I was gonna say,
Your
no, who cares what the Jews think? But
Hey, we're still recording.
I know.
Back to HC's earlier comment. We are sick people.
Well, I should be offended by this, but I'm used to Wolf's insults
God
by this point,
damn
so
it,
whatever.
Wolf.
A bit of casual racism thrown in. Gotta get it in there at least once.
The more I think about it, the funnier it gets, and the worse I feel.
This is all a sequel to that. What it is How to Turn Dragon about racism episodes we did a few.
yeah.
I mean,
Dirty
if How to Train Your
Dragons.
Dragon is more adult, there would be more racism in it.
Mhm.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Hey, you know what? I think there'd be
Black
racism between
Dragon.
the different clans. Oh, those dirty Jorgensens.
Well,
Nothing?
anyway, so yeah,
Oh, shit.
basically, so adult we count as like a R rating or 18 plus. That's what
That's
what
for me.
we're going with.
Well, not everybody has to do what I'm doing.
Wolf, what is your classification of adult? Like what is
I mean,
the age group?
If you're saying adult, normally I would think, right, like, 18 plus, older, 18 or older is normally what I think, like that R rating is what I would generally go with in my mind. I guess, you could probably argue PG-13, but at that point, already, How to Train Your Dragon is pushing the PG-13 rating anyways, it just doesn't have it.
Mhm.
But a lot of the animated movies now, like, there have stuff in them that a lot of PG-13
Actually, on
films
that
have.
note, on that note, I don't remember in what year this was. There was an April Fool's article that the Hidden World was going to be PG-13,
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember that too.
and people actually bought it for a second. Well, because honestly, it kind of makes sense. But okay,
Yeah.
so basically, what these guys said, anything that counts as like 18 plus, or 18 plus, PG-13 not so much. Even though with PG-13 you can get away with a bit more than a regular PG. But then again, let's be honest. Some of the stuff that the How to Train Your Dragon movies have, like Hiccup losing a leg. If this was live action, this would have been PG-13. Let's not kid ourselves.
If it was live action, I don't think it'd be PG-13. Can you do that in PG-13? I guess the pilot.
Lose a leg? I don't know. We can find out.
Yeah, true.
Well, let's say they can drop one F-bomb. I'm assuming as long as you don't see the leg being, dismantled, you can get away with it in a PG.
You know what the F-bomb is in the PG-13 of How to Train Your Dragon? After Hiccup loses his foot, wakes up, moves his bed sheet. Ah, fuck.
Well, that's very nonchalant reaction
In the-
to losing your leg.
In the second movie, the F-bomb would be Toothless shoots Stoic, and Hiccup's
Stoic.
just, fuck. Or,
Or Stoic just screams fuck as he gets shot.
it cuts the Stoic's view, and Stoic, like, right before the plasma blast hits him, fuck.
It's in slow mo.
Explosion.
It's in slow mo. Oh. Oh.
And I think in the hidden world, I'm going to show a curveball into that succession. I think we all know that in the hidden world, it'll be right after the Light Fury saves Hiccup at the end, and she puts him back on the ground. He'll go, shit.
No,
That's
it'll
my
be
guess.
when the
That's
Light
not-
Fury
that's-
throws Hiccup off the back. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, there you go.
No. But after Toothless saves him, he'll be like, not a fucking world. Because we all know when you drop the F-bomb, that means you're really angry, I think.
Fair enough.
You see? Silence. That
I mean,
means
I
you
would've
agree with
said-
me.
The F-bomb will be right after the Hickstrand wedding.
Why, though?
Well.
You can see this, but Trash is actually behind the microphone. after he heard this.
Berkcast, rated R version.
Mhm. Well, I think
We've already
okay,
dropped
you know
more
what,
than one F-bomb, so yeah.
Let's not jump around the bush. Let's not cut around the bush anymore,
Let's not
people.
fuck around the bush.
We all know that if this was an R-rated franchise, we would actually see the Hickstrand kids being made. Let's not kid ourselves.
I mean, not necessarily, but then at the same time, yeah, probably.
Mhm.
Game of Thrones.
I'm saying the Hickstrand kids. I forgot they have Zephyr and Nofnik. Yeah, I forgot their names.
What about seeing the nightlights being made?
Oh God. I was wondering if you were gonna bring it up. I was wondering.
Yeah,
I wasn't
was-
gonna go there, but I was wondering
Hey.
if one of you two.
We're talking about rated R, How to Train Your Dragon. We're gonna make this a rated R episode. We're asking all the big questions.
National.
Things I'm not sure if I even want to know in an R-rated How to Train Your Dragon how Night Furies reproduce.
The Hidden
How
World
dragons in general,
is
though.
now the name of the next porno. Anyway,
It's actually completely a documentary now.
Nature
now we're
documentary.
Yeah, there you
as
go.
you see in the Deathfall, the Night Furies mate. I'm going off the reference of like Falcons, how they mate, but still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As you can see here, there's a dragon staring right at me. I think he's about to eat me, and I think I'm right. These were the final words recalling of that show.
I like how this has turned completely into just joke after joke after joke.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, isn't that how every
Well,
Berkcast is?
I like how we're
This
talking.
is true.
I like how we're talking about how we would make this franchise more quote unquote adult, and the last thing we've been in this episode is adult by any means.
Hey, this was Wolf's idea. Let's get that out there now. We forgot to mention that earlier.
Yeah.
I wrote the script.
Yeah, for once, you guys can blame me for anything.
I can blame you for all the nasty ideas you put in my head.
Sure, go with it.
Anyway, so now with the first topic, what do we think would be different if it was compared to How to Train Your Dragon now? For me personally, I'm gonna go because I have an actual thought for once that isn't a complete joke. Like most of my thoughts, but I think that we would. I was talking with Wolf beforehand. Well, mostly after he posted the script, that I'm getting strong Game of Thrones vibes from this, where we would get the any time that there's fighting, we would see obviously like the lost limbs or the aftermath, the death, and all that stuff. And that's mostly it, because you have the dragons and the fighting. Those are you might get the awkward or not awkward sex scene every now and then, but still, I'm getting strong Game of Thrones vibes where you get the fighting, murder, death, and swearing for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree that as much as we made fun of, if this was like a PG-13 or R for that matter, there would probably be a lot more cursing here and there. But at the same time, I'm not saying that they would say fuck or shit every 5 seconds, because that would be. But they'll probably allow themselves to go more in instead of saying dang it or something, they'll say damn, or like instead of heck, they'll say hell. Not that they ever use dang or heck in this franchise, as far as I can remember.
They say oh gods a lot. And that could definitely be replaced with oh
well,
shit.
Yeah, but in that case though, you could make the argument that since it's Norse mythology and they have Odin, they have Thor, Loki to some extent, so they're like referring to all of them.
No, I'm saying that you could replace that with like oh shit.
Yeah, but at the same time, in order to like preserve this world, and so I can see how that would still be there, even if they allow the characters to swear.
They did say
once
hell.
in a while.
Stoic said hell in the first movie.
Oh yeah, but it does means like hell in terms of the place. Like it's not necessarily a swear, because he says all hell breaks loose.
Now we're gonna get into a moral discussion on what really are swear words.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's up to you to decide. You know something? Here's my question for you. Let's say that there was swearing in this franchise. Who would be the guy that points it out? Like, who would be the guy that says language?
Fish legs.
Yeah, most likely.
Now, who would be the biggest? Who would be the biggest offender?
Tough Nut. Tough Nut.
Yeah, Tough Nut.
Tough Nut would be the one to point it out. The biggest offender would be Gobber.
Yes, I was gonna say Gobber.
Yeah, either Gobber or something. I could see Rough Nut be.
And that's why Tough Nut calls it out, because his sister is a sailor.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
Oh, something. I just thought about. In the first movie, when Gobber shows the kids the terrible terror, and Tough Nut says, it's just like the size of my. I think if this was an adult franchise, we would have heard what this wouldn't have been censored.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't have been as funny.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes even in R-rated movies, you just go for the humor by cutting out what he's about to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, but actually, something. Maybe because it's because I saw T.J. Miller in a lot of R-rated comedies, so I just see it fitting more with Tough Nut more than anyone else. Even though I heard Jay Baruchelko sing in a lot of other shows and movies, but
oh, that reminds me. Do you guys remember the there was like a comic made that was using a scene from This Is the End with Jay Baruchel and
yes,
yeah,
I think I saw it. It's referring to, because there's Jay Baruchel, Hiccup, and Jonah Hill. Yeah.
So
I think I saw it. I don't.
So the actual scene in This Is the End is, basically the world's ending for some context, and they don't want to go outside because there's demons and stuff outside, but there's something they need outside, and Jay, or Hiccup in this case, is like, all right, so who wants to be the one to go out there? And Jonah Hill, his character is portrayed as like the high and mighty guy who secretly hates Jay. So he says, all right, guys, who wants to go with Jay out there? And Jay's like, what? And he's like, well, I thought you said who wants to go with me out there. And Jay said, you did not, you motherfucker. And in the drawing comic, it's about Like there's a sheep by a whispering death or something like that. But it's the same exact words. It's just with the How to Train Your Dragon crew.
Yeah, that's funny. Actually, the one thing I throughout this entire movie is that are they ever going to bring up the fact that Jay Baruchel and Jonah Hill did How to Train Your Dragon together? No. Well, the movie's still fun.
Well, Christopher Mintz-Plasse was in that movie too.
Yeah, but he wasn't one of the main cast members. He was there for a cameo.
Right.
And he's one of the people that gets killed at the beginning.
I mean, who doesn't?
Well, the main cast, obviously. But
thanks, man.
Anyway, back on topic. In terms of like what I would change in order to make the franchise more like as is, not a lot. Like in terms of because there are some pretty violent scenes in the like Toothless Killing Story speaks for itself. Like we all know that scene in Race to the Edge where we see Astrid getting hit with an arrow in the leg. So the only thing that would really make this like R-rated is like if you show blood.
No, I mean I don't think that'd make it R-rated. That'd just make it PG-13 or something like that at that point. Because
I think the
no. If you
the
show
severity
blood,
of the injury plus swearing is basically the boundary between PG-13 and R. In this case,
let's say it like this: bring in a movie that has nothing to do with How to Train Your Dragon as an example. Like, look at the Venom movie from last year. This turned from R-rated to PG-13, and in the PG-13 version, you see Venom bites heads off and limbs out, and there's no blood. You see, blood is pretty much what can determine a PG-13 and
yeah. I mean, we could probably look at what it is. Oh, how about the has anybody seen the PG-13 Deadpool movie or the PG-13 version? I haven't, but I was gonna say that's another one too.
I haven't too because PG-13 is not that.
The MPAA.
Well, while Rush is looking at this, Wolf, what do you think?
About
like how would you make the current franchise more adult? Like what do you think would up the rating?
Copious amounts of sex.
You heard it here first.
I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That would definitely up it, I suppose. You know, but what would I do different from what we got? I honestly don't really know what to say on that one.
Okay, so apparently there's rating components for violence, language, substance abuse, and nudity, sexual content. For violence, the difference between PG-13 is depictions of intense violence are permitted under the PG-13 rating, but violence that is both realistic and extreme or persistent will generally require at least an R rating. So I guess blood is realistic, apparently.
Yeah, like let's say if let's take the Rest of the Edge scene with the arrow we just mentioned. If you put blood in there, that would be an R.
I did not know that. No, I didn't.
Violence must be kept a minimum in G-rated films, but must not be intense in PG-rated, which How to Train Your Dragon is PG. Then I guess what is Race to the Edge? Since that's a TV show, they have different ratings there.
It's PG.
Yeah,
as well.
I think like if you look at it, it keeps the PG idea in though. Like they don't go above this ground.
Profanity may be present in PG-rated films. Dang. I guess that's why Shrek was able to say, well, I gotta save my ass, and use one of the harsher sexually derived words as an expletive will initially incur at least a PG-13 rating. Multiple occurrences will incur an R rating, as well as such an expletive in a sexual context. Substance abuse is PG-13 above. Nudity is restricted to PG and above. Oh. Anything anything that constitutes more than brief nudity will require PG-13. Well, I guess that's why butts are
Well,
PG.
Again, though,
yeah,
it's like, nudity, that is sexually oriented is immediately R rating. End of.
Yes.
So it's it's very clear, like, you can do it in PG,
like
but it
that's
has to
why.
have a very certain connotation to it.
Mhm. Like I think that's one of the reasons. Excuse me. Like when you see a PG-13 movie and you see like a sex scene, you don't necessarily see
Well, that's nudity in
any.
this. That's weird. Okay, that's nudity, but then there's sexual content. The MPA does not have any explicit criteria for sexual content other than excluding scenes from G-rated films. Does that mean How to Train Your
Yeah,
Dragon could have had
but at the same time,
sex scene?
but
So
at the same
basically,
time,
How to Train Your Dragon, if How to Train Your Dragon wanted to right now, it could have sex scenes in it right now.
Yep.
Is
yeah,
what that says, essentially.
but at
Just
the
with no
same- but at the
nudity.
yeah, because
Wait.
at the same time, you can count kissing as a
Hey,
sexual
Dean, how are
activity.
babies made?
Oh dear.
Yeah. So you know something completely random reference, I know, but Teen Titans Go to the movies should be PG-13 because of that joke where Robin actually tells to the audience, "Kids, ask your parents where babies come from," before the credits roll. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, didn't expect to hear that on the show, did you?
Apparently,
But-
dabbing is rated R.
Really? Which is understandable, I guess. I can already tell you about a few people who might be listening to this and dab as soon as we said it. I'm glaring at these people through my phone at the moment. But anyway, anything else do you think will be different except for more, probably a bit more swearing, more blood, and actually, here's something. They would probably not shy away from, because have you seen the How It Should Have Ended for How to Train Dragon 2?
What?
Have you seen the How It Should Have Ended video? Dragon 2.
Yes.
It's been a while, but yeah.
Well, the point you need to remember here, there's a point where Stuick literally uses, and I think it was an to
Oh yeah,
cut.
he
Yes.
uses his axe to kill Drago.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. So I think if this was R-rated, we would probably get a lot more scenes like this. Like they do talk about there's that episode of Defenders where Stuick suggests to Hiccup that he should let Astrid and Snotlout fight with axes and swords and see whoever kills each other first. But that's a joke. You don't actually see that. But if you actually saw that and somebody did kill someone, that would probably be enough.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that would have been one hell of a dark filler episode.
Mm. No, that's canon. Snotlout's dead. Bye, Snotlout. You had a good run.
Okay, you know something? Wolf, let me ask you this, now that you mentioned. What would you do in order to make the books more adult?
Sex scenes.
There you go.
Well,
Hiccup and Kamikaze. Like both
Well-
underage. That's gonna go great.
I'm glad I
Well,
wasn't
that's,
actually sipping my coffee then, because I probably would have spit it out.
well, outside
I don't
of
want to
that-
upload this episode anymore.
Don't
boy.
don't say that. We all you.
I'll just edit the
You
I'll
want
edit
to
the episode for once, and I'll just add bleeps everywhere. This whole episode will
Yeah.
just be one like censor bleep.
Yeah.
You
Well,
get the intro at
thank
the
God.
beginning, and then it's just beep
Yeah.
all the way through.
Yeah.
We're sorry, but this episode has been banned by YouTube and cannot be broadcast.
Yeah. Sure.
This episode's definitely not advertiser friendly if we actually played ads on our videos.
Wait, we're supposed
Well,
to be paid?
one with
Yeah, I know.
like
That's right. That's what I
one-
thought. I'm doing this shit for free. I
One-
better not be paid.
okay. For the love of God, one we don't do ads. because this is something we do for fun and to escape from reality. And two, if the AVGN made a career out of cursing, why can't we? So yeah. Again, I take your silence as agreement. Wolf, give me an answer.
On the books being more adult, what would I change or do with it? It's harder to do that for a book, I feel. Like, the movies you can kind of say, well, I would like to see this or I'd like to see this. I don't know from the books, like, if there's anything you could change about that to make it more adult, because it's strictly aimed at kids and written for kids, right? Like, I don't think there's a way you take that and translate it to being more adult.
Like, yeah, I think one thing most people seem to agree on, whether they like the books or the movies more, is that the DreamWorks franchise as a whole is more adult than the books.
Yeah, I would say so. Like, if I would agree with that. Like, I think if you're wanting to make a somewhat more adult version of the books, you kind of say, well, here's the movies, or something that would appeal a bit more to adults, anyways. I do think the books, do like tackle some adult themes, right? With, say, loss and you know uh, coming to understand, like someone who's very much treated poorly, or forgiveness, things like that. Like, it tackles a lot of adult themes in many different ways, and surrounding many different characters. Like, for Stalin's character and what happens to him by the end of the books, like, it's very much, I would say that's more of an adult theme, and the way it tackles it, it doesn't shy away from what happens there. It doesn't shy away from using that to teach a lesson within the books in a way, right? So I would say, like, it's meant for kids, it's directed at kids, it's written for kids to understand what's going on there and what's happening there. But I would still say, like, if you want a somewhat more adult version of that, the movies, I would say, kind of have you covered in a way.
Okay, fair enough.
Now, if you want a more adult version of the movies, it's again copious amounts of sex and death and not allowed being dead, and killing Drago and killing Stoic and getting to see all of those deaths.
Well, you say killing
The chart, the puddle that is Stoic after getting hit with a blast of plasma.
Wolf. You say killing Drago, but at the same time, Drago is dead now. Like it.
They don't sail his boat off. They just spread his ashes in the ocean.
Ashes. He got hit with a bolt of plasma. I'm pretty sure he would be a puddle of goop.
They just dump a cup in the ocean. Then
there you go. They just set the cup on the ocean, just let it float away. All right, someone's got to hit that with an arrow. Get ready. Hope you got a good shot.
He's going everywhere, man. How do we do it? Light the whole fucking ocean on fire, man.
Well, that got dark.
It's rated R. Of course, it's gonna be dark.
Well,
get with the times, HC.
Drown in real time. There's another one.
Yeah, something. Here's a scene I would like, that kind of segue into what would we like to see from an R-rated How to Train Your Dragon.
We get to see Toothless eat Hiccup's leg when he tries to save him.
I was about to say I would love to see a scene where they burn Drago at the stake, and all he says during it is "Oh, and
he's calling to dragons. No, he's just in pain.
Yeah. Actually, you know what I'm talking about. We got this with Calder in Serpent's Air. Hiccup literally burns them to death, and then when Eret comes along and says, "Are you okay, Chief?" and he's like, "Better than the so-called Serpent's Air." It's like, Jesus, Hiccup.
That's probably the most adult thing we've gotten from How to Train Your Dragon so far.
Most likely. You know something? This is probably the most adult thing that ever happened in the How to Train Your Dragon.
That's actually a good point. There would be a lot more one-liners from Hiccup in an adult film.
Well, he does have quite a few throughout the entire franchise.
No, but like after killing someone, Hiccup would kill more people, and he'd have way more one-liners after killing someone. Like
Yeah, like
when he killed, like in the Hidden World, when he specifically lets go of the Light Fury to kill himself and Grimmel, he'd have a one-liner after he lived. After the Light Fury saves him and he lives, he'd have a one-liner about Grimmel's death. I don't know what that
well,
one-liner would be, but someone more creative than me, get on that.
gee, I'm glad that all of the villains I meet can swim.
That's terrible, but I guess it's something.
Well, that's Hiccup for you.
That's also you for us as well, but we don't complain too much.
What can you do? Well, you know what, Hotshot? You come up with a better one line.
I just said someone more creative than me come up with one because I can't, so I'm not going to try.
Well,
most of my thought process for this episode so far has been in the back of my mind. How can I take Garber's lines and make them more adult? Like, how many curse words would he throw in?
You know what? We are kind of in the category of what would you like to see.
I'm gonna
talk to us. What?
You know what? Wolf, you and
I
gotta be drunk Stoic, and you gotta be drunk Gobber, and we gotta do R-rated.
And I'm going to chew on some popcorn.
I've been trying to, but yeah, that's been my thought process in the back of my mind. How would Garber's lines be more adult? Like, how many curse words would he throw in, and where would the curse words be that would still make sense? That has been my thought process in the back of my mind as we've been doing this episode so far.
Okay. What you got then? Enlighten me.
Nothing.
Well, that's disappointing.
I guess maybe if I can still do the voice. Trolls exist. They steal your socks. The pesky little shits. Or welcome to dragon training. You're gonna fucking die.
Well, that's blunt.
It is Gobber.
Actually, you know something? It's funny that you say specifically when Craig Ferguson has the stand-up show. You can look it up on YouTube. It's called "Does This Need to Be Said?" I highly recommend that. But he actually talks about cursing and how every time you curse, someone takes you more seriously or is immediately more interested in what you have to say. So I can see Gabber having the same mentality.
Fair enough.
Well, so Rash, what would more adult cursing streak would be like?
Rush is currently muted, so he's probably not at his mic. So
well,
we'll come back to it.
So in terms of what would I personally like to see in a more adult How to Train Dragon, you know something? I think there are a few times where, well, you know, considering how sarcastic Hiccup could be, I can see him like throwing in like not in everything, right? But I can see him like swear at some points. Like, I'm trying to think about the situation right now. Like, whenever he's jokingly fights with Toothless, like at the beginning of 2, you know what I mean? I can see him like when he tells him like you're pouting, big baby boo. I can see him like I can see him like who's I don't know. I got nothing at them, but I can see I can see like at this moment he'll actually throw like a curse word in the for the hell of it. Or like I can see Snaplow doing this. Actually, you know something? If this was R-rated, then Valka would probably go with Snap out of the end of the movie. Now
I think they're very clear that she'd probably go with Eret, if anything. But yeah, possibly. And if we're doing the Game of Thrones comparison, it's not like would find this out and immediately try and kill Eret, and then still try and get with Hiccup's mom. So
that's exactly that's exactly what I want to say. Like, if let's go full Game of Thrones here.
Copious amounts of sex with Snotlout and Hiccup's mom.
And by that I mean everybody dies, because we all know that's what Game of Thrones is to an extent.
And Hiccup goes mad at some point because, Daenerys apparently went mad, and there's a lot of people upset about the latest episode of Game of Thrones. Let's bring that up.
I'm a bit confused about my part. I mean, first I'm dead, then I'm not. Uh, there is, something that I have seen. There are people petitioning to like that for the last season of Game of Thrones that's airing right now. Apparently, it's ending in a few days, from what
Hmm.
I've heard. I don't watch the show. Like it's one of those
Neither have
things
I.
that yeah, it's one of those things that I prefer to wait until it ends to hear that the ending is not a cop out, so that I won't waste my time. Um, and that's my personal thing, people. It's nothing against the show itself,
He's
but
saying Game of Thrones sucks, is what he's saying.
no, I'm not saying that. That's what you just said. So all the hate to Wolf.
That's what you
You heard
implied.
it here
But
first. You heard it here
but
first, folks. HC hates Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is terrible. It sucks. It's a terrible show. You're
He's
terrible
glad
for
it ends
watching it.
today, tomorrow.
Yeah. So
I'm
he
down.
never has to hear any of you talk about what a terrible show it is ever again.
before you turn my one explanation into a freaking speech here, um, what I want to say is that there are a few people petitioning to like rewrite this final season because they are not happy with the direction it's taking. And I think I saw
Sure.
somewhere that there's a petition to redo How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World.
Yeah, that's been a
So
thing too. I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
I've heard about
yeah,
that. I think that was a
think
thing for the second movie as well.
yeah. So that's another thing. Like again, I don't watch Game of Thrones. I don't know necessarily what's been happening in order to tell you how much of how much of like a disconnected it is from what's been established, or how much it hurts the canon or something. I have no idea. Like you can educate me until tomorrow about this, but I think that's also something regarding that they might change too much and go to some extreme, to the point that people like one that it steps out of a comfort zone and people are not okay with it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So there's one similarity between the two, where you don't need the R rating, but actually, now that I think about it, if this was R rated, the dragons would do a hell of a lot worse to human beings. I think we would actually see Garber losing his limbs, most likely.
Possible. It's it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose since we're having to kind of wrap up the episode a little bit quicker than normal,
Mm-hmm.
um, the last topic. Do you think it'd be better or worse than what we've already gotten from How to Train Your Dragon?
It really depends on how it's written.
This is
Um,
true.
well, yeah, there's that, but then there's also the question of, because for mostly what we said would make How to Train Your Dragon like R-rated. For the most part, we kind of agreed that it comes down to more blood, more swearing, and like Wolf said, um, um, a respectable amount of sex. Let's go with that.
I don't think he said a respectable amount.
Well,
It said copious amounts.
Copious.
that's I took some artistic liberties with phrasedness,
Oh,
but
don't worry, they will too.
mhm, yeah, but these are the main three things we agreed upon. But the but so at the end of the day, if you just add those things but keep the overall thing the same, then like
It wouldn't be very good, I feel.
at the same time, if you take because if you put it in,
Damn it.
that but you if you put it in, but you don't change anything else, then we still get the same thing we know and love today, but just more violent, more everything. Like if they don't change the story around it, I don't see the harm. But at the same time, I do I do think it will take away from this if they'll put these things in there, because it is kind of nice to have something that's, for lack of a better term, adult in animation that doesn't really rely on those things. Like because when people bring up adult animation, most people think like Simpsons, Family Guy, stuff like that. So it's nice to see that there's something that I could consider an adult animation but at the same,
that
but at the
doesn't
same
rely,
time,
but also wouldn't rely on like gimmicks,
yeah,
I suppose you'd say, like that.
like it's adult themes and ideas, but not. And let us see here. Yeah, good save there, Rush. Good save.
I mean, Rush, I would have, as Hiccup has a dragon-sized, hidden in hearts. I would have said, Hiccup has the girth of a chief, but the size of a dragon.
And that's all for this episode of the Berkcast. I left the chat because that really was getting too much there. But anyway,
I mean, if we're doing this episode, you had to have expected it at some point.
yeah, but somebody had to do that. And HC leaving wouldn't have been funny enough.
No,
I was trying to prank you guys into thinking, oh God, what did he type? And it's like, oh, hey, that's kind of wholesome. And then Wolf just goes, ah, wrong. I did.
You know some.
Yeah, I did.
You know something, Rush? That might have been funny, and that might have been funny if someone didn't beat you to that joke like years ago. So
that might have been funny if the people watching understood what just happened. Anyway,
We could tell them HC got moved to a new room. Let's see how long it takes him to figure out.
Hey, there he is.
Can't accept
About 30
criticism, I see.
Oh, it says the guy that always calls me a pussy when I do that.
Well,
Can't accept
yeah, you
criticism.
are, because you can't accept criticism about your puns and jokes.
Anyways, back to the show,
Back to the show, though.
which we've been all about.
Yeah. So honestly, I don't see it. I don't see like this being an R-rated franchise being something that would kill it. But at the same time, I'm glad at what it is. And I think we need a more adult version. We have we have, and that's good enough for me.
I think that's fair enough. I think that's a good way to look at things and understand it. Like, I think what we got is very good and already in its own way. In its own ways, like very much adult in what it tackles and what it goes through already, or it's probably as close as it can get to, anyways.
Plus, if this was rated R when it came out, I probably wouldn't have been able to see it, and I wouldn't have gotten into the fandom like this.
When I think about this, when the first movie came out, I was 17, like a month away from being 18. So, that's a good question. Would I have been able to see it in theaters then?
Oh well.
I could have probably bought a ticket to something else to the theater, most likely. Okay. Anything else to add on this weird topic?
That's going all over the place. No, not really.
No.
It's been fun.
Cursed.
This was definitely this was definitely a more interesting episode.
Yep.
Well,
I wish I could have done it longer.
And harder.
Wink.
Actually, what am I talking about? You guys give me a hard time every episode. But anyway,
Also wink.
Not like that.
The love of
Oh my.
curse me bagpipes. Anyway, that's been all for this episode of the Berkcast. What do you think would make the How to Train Your Dragon franchise more adult, and would you prefer it over what we have now? You can tell us all about that in the comment section below on our Tumblr, where we are known as Berkcast Team, where you can't really do it, most likely because Tumblr prevents this stuff now, I think. But you can tell us this on our Twitter too, which is Berkcast with the capital B, capital C. And you can also find us all on the How to Train Dragon Valhalla Discord server. So until next time, I was HC.
I was Rush.
I've been Wolf.
And we will see you all next time. Take fucking care.
Bye fucking bye.
Bye-bye.